Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 62 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on May 11th, 2021. How you folks doing? Man, I'm doing pretty well. It is raining here. It's like raining cats and dogs outside. So if you hear some weird background noise, that it might be the rain on my roof here. But I did some audio testing. Didn't seem like it was going to be an issue, but guess we'll find out. Man, this has been an insane week because I was traveling at the end of last week and all weekend. Okay, so like I'm playing a crazy amount of catch up right now. You know how it goes. Sometimes you gotta pay to play or something like that. Anyway, it's okay. A lot of great experiences this past weekend for Pew Science, so that's awesome. I'll get into that a little bit on today's episode. One thing I did do. I visited a gun shop in Utah. It was neat. I hadn't been to Utah in a bit, so it was nice to go there. Man, you know who I saw in that gun shop? I saw Gary Hughes' son. Gary Hughes, he used to be a Dead Air. Gary's son was there sitting there working the counter. I was like, oh my goodness, hey man, how you doing? He's like, I'm doing pretty good. There are a lot of other gun dudes in there talking about gun stuff. Man, that was wild. Shout out to you, sir. I don't think he listens to the podcast, but if he does, he'll hear this. It was a good gun store. A lot of guns, man. A lot of ammo too. They had everything in the store, and even they had ammo. I mean, the ammo was expensive, but it wasn't too crazy, I guess. I mean, for the current prices, they had a silencer display case. It was really cool. It had some old relics, some old AAC rifle stuff, some old OSS, some old Surefire silencers in there. It's not even made anymore, and the muzzle devices weren't even there. They didn't have the muzzle devices for them. I was like, that's, it's interesting. They had one of those new brown painted Sam S's. It was in there. I saw that. It was just cool to see that stuff in the wild. Just to really see that out there in a dealer shop was cool. So that was nice. There's another guy behind the counter. He was, I guess he's going to join law enforcement soon. He's a young man working at the gun store, wants to be a law enforcement officer. And he showed me he had this 11.5-inch carbine rifle, carbine length gas. It was a very nice rifle. He had a lot of stuff on there. He had EOTech on there, had an EOTech magnifier on there, had a Sandman K he had put on there. He let me check out his rifle, let me kind of look through the magnifier because I told him I was looking for one, to tell you what, and this is like, I'm a little disappointed. I looked at that EOTech magnifier and the eye relief was just not something I enjoyed. It was a little bit too restrictive, like the eye box, I guess you could call it, like the forward and aft position of your head in relation to in relation to the magnifier, to be able to look through it. It like definitely was not that hard. I mean, it was a little bit hard to get in the right spot. I mean, I could do it, but like it wasn't as nearly as forgiving as, for example, like the freaking Sightmark magnifier I have. So I was like, that's kind of lame. Maybe I don't know. It was just the way I was holding it, or like maybe I'm misremembering the way the Sightmark one worked. I don't know. I got to check again, but I did reach out to the guy who designed the magnifier, the guy at Trijicon. I'm going to talk to him about his magnifier too. Maybe he could give me some pointers on that. Shout out to you, sir. We emailed earlier this week or it was last week. So anyway, so that's another little bit of an anecdotal data point for you guys with regard to that magnifier. I thought that was interesting, and that was a cool story about a nice gun store that had a lot of silencers, so that's cool. It's in Utah, a lot of graffiti and everything. It was nice. Anyway, but the other, the other thing that gun store had, it had a freaking silencer shop kiosk, and the J Situation Podcast is probably sponsored by Silencer Shop. Yeah, I snuck that in. Shoehorn the sponsor read in, Jay. It is though. The podcast is sponsored by Silencer Shop, the most efficient and intelligent way to purchase silencers. And as a silencer consumer, Silencer Shop is not only my dealer of choice, but it is my infrastructure of choice. They've done a lot of cool stuff. like create a really, really simple and easy system that minimizes the likelihood of errors in your paperwork. They pioneered the use of the QR code on the actual Form 4. Let the ATF scan the code when it's so cool, man. The ATF scans the code with a little reader there instead of having to input all your data themselves. There's a reason they've grown, man. They continue to innovate. They have a network of nationwide dealers, man. They really do. It's crazy. Everywhere silencers are legal, they're silencer shop dealers. And you can use the kiosk there at the dealer. You do your fingerprints and your photos electronically. You cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. There's a money-back guarantee. It's great, man. No transfer fees. No paperwork errors. Just you and your silencer with no drama. It truly is silencer ownership simplified. And speaking of silencers, this podcast is also sponsored by the often cited, but never duplicated, PewScience. Pushing the silencer industry forward, the entire industry forward, one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and most accurate hearing-safe ratings for your suppressed small arms, and they're based on true human sound perception due to peer-reviewed analytical models applied to data that is acquired in a standardized way, all in accordance with the silencer sound standard on pewscience.com. You know, it's all there. It's been there for over a year. You can read it. Anyone who wants to test silencers can use it. It's all open for use. You know, I mean, it sounds daunting, but if you are a dynamic analyst, if you are a test engineer, if you're running a test laboratory and you would like to test in accordance with the standard, you can. Everything you need is there. If you ever have any questions about that, you can reach out to me. Okay? And the really cool thing about it all is that it's a standardized way to test. It's in accordance with the evolved MIL standard. It uses peer-reviewed hearing models that they're actually in the standard too, that no one ever used. And, you know, PewScience just decided to do it. I decided to do it for you guys. So, you know, that's basically it's easy to get caught up in the minutia, but really, like, if you want to just take the curtain back and say it is what it is, man, this is just doing what people in the industry should have been doing forever. It's applying the test standard correctly. That's what the silencer sound standard is. Okay? And it walks you through gunshot noise, you know, sort of like Wikipedia, but it's cooler because it's about silencer sound. In Section 5, you'll find the suppression rating. Super simple. If it's higher, the silencer is going to sound better. If it's lower, the silencer is going to sound louder to you. It's pretty simple. It's in Section 5 of the standard, and it's going to let you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to the sound of the muzzle and the shooter's ear. It's going to give you a hearing-safe dose limit, which is kind of cool. Just some extra information for you. And it's going to do that for the particular platform on which the silencers are tested, man. Again, tied to human perception, which is really neat. For, you know, a healthy human ear. You know, sometimes if you can't hear anything, man, you're gonna, well, you might have some issues. You're not going to find this information anywhere else, man. No one else is doing this. It's really hard. So, here at PewScience, I work really hard to bring you the information so it can help you. Okay. The sixth section of the standard has reviews for all the different silencers. You can check them out at pewscience.com. And you know what? If there's too much information in there for you, it's fine. You don't really have to look at the reviews if you want. You can just go to the ranking section in Section 7 of the standard, and there's a little simple database tool. You can sort and view the suppression rating at the muzzle and the ear for all the different weapons and stuff we tested so far, and you can go wild with that. As always, if you're a manufacturer and you would like to use PewScience for private testing and consulting services, maybe you're developing a silencer or a weapon system or something, there is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry, your contact information, and all the test data or deliverables we generate as part of an effort with you, it's all held in strict confidence, of course, unless you want to use our platform to release the data to the public, in which case we can certainly produce a deliverable like that for you publicly, if you're into that, but you don't have to. You can see sometimes we do that, and some of that's on the website. And you can support this podcast, Pew Science, and our testing by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. And, if you feel like it, you can rate the podcast highly on your podcast provider. And you can let folks know that, iTunes and things like that and the general public know that silencers and guns are awesome. And then we can spread the word and through education, win the hearts and minds. Let's get off my soapbox there. You know what? I frankly, I think I'm going faster than I usually do. So, now I'm jinxing it. I got 4 topics for you today. Topic 1, Pew Science field trip to Utah, the land of silencers. I mean, kind of. I guess there are a lot of silencer companies there. There are a few. We'll talk about that. Topic 2, back pressure. Does it matter to you? Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. How can you tell if it will matter to you or not? We'll talk about that. Topic 3, listener questions. Ooh, boy, howdy. I answer more from round 2. Gonna be fun, I think. I hope. I bet it will. You guys ask such great questions. Topic 4, thank you to all the dealers, manufacturers, and consumer members of Pew Science. You're making this happen. Your support is amazing, and the dealer feedback recently has been really great. So I wanted to highlight some of that. Okay? All right. We're going to get in topic 1 at the time of 11 minutes, 59 seconds. Ooh, I beat 12 minutes. What is up? Frankly, that's too long. We need to cut down. What I need to do is cut down my Pew Science ad. Who does this guy think he is? Some kind of Pew Science guy? Topic 1, Pew Science field trip. Utah, the land of silencers? Yes. Man, I tell you, gosh, what a beautiful state, frankly. I mean, oh my gosh. And the weather? Oh my gosh. I got there late at night, so I didn't, I always forget how awesome that place is. And then I wake up early the next morning to get my day started, do what I came there to do. And I walked out of my freaking hotel and I look at the mountains and I was like, holy crap, the mountains are right there. This is crazy. I was like, man, I can get used to this. But of course, it was just a weekend trip. The air was nice and brisk. People were running. Looked healthy. I was like, wow, what a nice place. It was nice. Actually, the wonderful folks at OSS, the silencer manufacturer, one of the silencer manufacturers there in Utah, they invited me. They invited me out there to their facility. I had been speaking with their technical guys and their operations guys. That they saw the data that I had produced that they did not know I was going to produce, and they were like, "Whoa, dude! You're testing stuff in a pretty comprehensive way." And I was like, "Yes, I am." And they're like, "Well, would you like to come see how we test stuff and all the stuff we do?" And I was like, "Yeah." Oh, I was like, "Yes." I was like, "You're inviting me to go look at and do silencer science, and you're asking me if I want to?" It's like, does a new silencer owner do a yard pop? Yes. The answer is yes. Yeah, of course I'm going to go to Utah, dude. Say no more, fam. I'm there. Tell me when. So I went. So yeah, invited me out there to their facility there to speak about silencer testing, R&D, meet with their technical folks, meet with their testing folks, which was really great. And they were very good hosts. So shout out to you guys. I appreciate your hospitality. If you're listening, it was very kind. So yeah, we did some science. It was good. And I got dang NDA, so I can't talk a lot. I can't tell you everything. I'm like, God dang it. But suffice to say, it was very informative. And I have to say also, which was really neat and something I can talk about, is that some of the stuff we did that day and that they showed me they had done did help to continue the validation of what Pew Science is working on with regard to sound suppression characterization, the validation of flow restriction characterization, which is very complicated. And basically, broad empirical characterization of the behavior of small arm weapon silencers. I mean, this is, what Pew Science is doing, right? We're transparently, objectively, and openly evaluating silencers and weapon systems. Like, this is, everything's on the website, everything's transparent and open. Like, literally, the silencer sound standard is there for anyone who's actually qualified to do this. They have all the tools they need. It's no secret. And so it's like, going to a place where someone had, or some people had done research and testing and analysis in comprehensive ways that are different from what Pew Science has done. And then they're getting similar answers on some of the stuff that Pew Science gets, like, independently, like, without looking at our stuff, like, without looking at Pew Science, they're doing certain things and they're getting similar answers, like with regard to the back pressure metric, for example. You know what I mean? And I was like, whoa, that is so crazy. And it was wild, dude. It was wild, and it was encouraging. And I geek out on that stuff because it's like true science, right? It's like, my stuff's on the website to be peer reviewed by anybody. And yeah, I was able to peer, not comprehensively, but I was able to, somewhat peer review what they were doing. And I was like, whoa, cool. I like it. You know what I mean? Jelly bean? So yeah. Yeah, because, there really hasn't been an effort like the one Pew Science is pursuing at the pace I'm pursuing it ever. Like, it just hasn't been done like this. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, in academia, like, they have done high fidelity analysis of suppressed small arms and the small arms. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, Pew Science is not the only person in the world who can do this. Of course not. But I don't know if you guys have read the frequently asked questions on the website, but like, there's a reason why I'm doing this, is because the people who usually do this, you're never going to see the data, because the rigor it takes to do it and the expertise it does is usually the folks are either they're going to be at the national labs, they're going to be at certain government labs that do testing for the military, and even in those labs, they're a lot of times they're not doing exactly what I'm doing here. So like, you gotta understand the gravity of it and why it's so difficult to do this for the public, and why I've taken the steps I've taken to protect what I'm doing. Because when things are public, they are susceptible to corruption, and they are susceptible to perversion and like, people and scrutiny. And the scrutiny is important, but there are like certain actors in the silencer industry, in the firearms industry, that are not like super nice and super cool. And so those folks, like, they will target things to bend and meet their agendas. So we got to be careful. But like, being able to interface with folks that have tested the similar things that Pew Science has tested, different silencers and stuff, and seeing how they affect weapon systems, and seeing how the sound signatures work, seeing how the apparatus works, the weapon system apparatus, that is, seeing how the silencer interacts with the gun and how the silencer actually suppresses sound, and having that third-party data, even if it's another manufacturer testing another manufacturer's stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it's still valuable because it when you understand how it's being done and you're there seeing things, you can apply your engineering judgment and your technical judgment to the results they get and take it for what it is, and then discover correlations you may not have normally thought there would be, blah, blah, blah. So I feel like I'm rambling now, but anyway, like I said, man, single largest public suppressed small arms research effort ever undertaken in history. So, now that manufacturers like OSS are taking note, and there's more than OSS, right? These manufacturers, they're taking note, man. They're reaching out to Pew Science, and then other manufacturers are telling other manufacturers, and they're telling dealers and consumers, and everyone's talking about it, man. Word's spreading. It's good. They're like, oh my gosh, like, this is working. This is great. And I'm like, dude, thank you. Like, that's good news. But I do want to say specifically about this, and I hate to talk in generalities because I feel like it's a tease, but I will say that part of the validation work that I am excited about is the influence of silencer flow restriction, or back pressure, which the more I talk about it, I don't even want to use the term back pressure anymore, just because I hate I like the term flow restriction. I really do. But back pressure is something that like is, I think, easier for people to understand. But I think flow restriction is such a cool way to say it. But anyway, the influence of silencer flow restriction or back pressure on reciprocating weapon blowback is such an interesting phenomenon that is like actually really hard to study correctly. It seems simple, but studying the real effects in a weapon system is really hard. It really is. And it's not that like the specific mechanism is hard. It's because of the dang variance in weapon systems and how many there are, and what kind of variables you can deal with and how different a weapon system can behave with a silencer depending on your weapon. I mean, it's very important to isolate variables, and that's why you see me testing on bolt guns with like a certain barrel length, right, and away from all reflecting surfaces to get you the suppression rating, right? You know, that's why it's like so stringent and strict and specific, because we have to have apples to apples at all points. So sometimes when you're quantifying flow restriction or back pressure, like it's easy to quantify in certain guns when you use an adjustable gas block, right? Because like you can tune the gun for the silencer, and you need a different amount of clicks for the gun, you know, to work correctly. And some guns need almost the same amount of clicks for a lot of silencers. Like some guns you could put pretty much like for example, some AR-15s, like the way they're set up, or AR-10s, the way they're set up, you could put like any freaking 30 caliber silencer on that gun and with an adjustable gas block, and it would use like almost the same amount of clicks and work fine. That can happen sometimes. And then some guns, however, are like super gas sensitive, and those guns, I mean, their function will vary wildly with silencer back pressure, okay? And so I guess what I want to tell you is that, you know, there are other ways to evaluate silencer back pressure other than the empirical correlation parameter omega that is on pewscience.com. There are other ways to do it. I mean, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, right? And there are other experimental ways than omega, obviously. I mean, what I presented is something simple, a novel methodology that's simple. There are much more complicated ways to do it. And I got to see some of those ways. I got to watch them, which was very cool. And it was neat. And I showed them my data, and they showed me their data, and we got to compare notes and compare data. And I think the discussions were fruitful. And man, it is just so good to have another manufacturer on board with Pew Science R&D, at least open to the dialogue about it. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Man, and I'm not sure about this, but I think they might become an advocate for it. I don't know, they might. But to date, any manufacturer I've worked for or with for R&D, they when they've worked with me privately, they become an advocate. Okay, it's unbiased, objective scientific research, man. This is literally living the dream. So I know that's a weird, almost sounded like a commercial for Pew Science in a way. I guess in some ways it was. But I wanted to tell you about my experience and how happy I was with it, but I couldn't give you like proprietary data because I'm under NDA. So like, I don't know. Like I can only tell you so much stuff, dude. Oh, I guess I can tell you. Okay, let me think about this. I can probably tell you some stuff like, oh, okay, yeah, I saw how they put together silencers. I saw how like the silencers look inside. So I saw the inside. I held inside pieces. I don't know what else. Yeah, we tested stuff. Oh, I shot a SCAR. That was dope. Shot a SCAR, a 308, SCAR 17. Did double taps, suppressed and unsuppressed. You know what's really interesting? Oh, this is good for you. This is good to know for you. And something I didn't know because, for one, this is my first time shooting a SCAR. So that was really cool. So I shot the SCAR unsuppressed, right? On the unsuppressed, whatever the gas, I don't know what the gas configuration was, or the gas jet, as they call it. I don't know what that was, but it was on the unsuppressed setting. I shot it unsuppressed, and I shot it indoors. Okay? Did some double taps. That was fun. Very good. I shot it with the OSS HXQD762, which is the one I had just tested recently on pewscience.com. I put that on there, and I did not, with the same amount I tested on pewscience.com, and I did not change the gas setting. And also, I did not, also the barrel length was like, it was an SBR. It was not a machine gun, it was an SBR. And I can't remember what the barrel length is, but it's short. So then I did like double taps, 308 indoors with the OSS silencer on there. By the way, I'm wearing double hearing protection because I was wearing double hearing protection unsuppressed indoors because like I was in a small room. So yeah, so I did double tap suppressed, and you know what? The gun functioned fine. But honestly, I did get a little bit of wafting of gas out of the ejection port from the SCAR with the OSS silencer attached, and it was a little bit noticeable compared to unsuppressed. So what does that show? It shows that the OSS silencer doesn't have a lot of flow restriction, but it does have some. And because it has such low flow restriction, and I just and I just barely noticed it, like, that means that for there to be a noticeable difference, that means that gun must be back pressure sensitive. That particular gun. I mean, the gas setting was set to unsuppressed and it has a gas, you can switch it or whatever, I think. That's what it said. Like, they had a little switching thingy on the front. I'm not super on the piston system there. I'm not super familiar with the SCAR, but like I took it apart and messed with it. Like, you know, so that was cool. So like that was a qualitative, semi-quantitative, qualitative understanding of the back pressure metric in real time on a weapon system. And I was like, huh, cool. It was a gas sensitive host with a low omega silencer. And what happened? Barely any gas in the face, suppressed, when it was on the unsuppressed setting with the silencer. That is exactly what you would expect from the omega metric. How did I get the omega metric? I tested on a bolt gun, and I followed the methodology I developed. This on pewscience.com in the public research supplement. Right? That's how I got the omega metric. And then I went to Utah and I shot the dang thing on a SCAR, and it did exactly what the omega metric said it would. But why did it do what the omega metric said it would? Let's talk about that in topic 2. Topic 2, at a time of 27 minutes, 57 seconds. Yes. Back pressure. Does it matter to you? Does the back pressure of a silencer matter to you? Maybe. Maybe not. Okay, this is the omega metric, right? How important is the omega metric to you? Well, look, I need you guys to understand. I think I need to let you know, when you are viewing the omega back pressure metric on the website, and look, for those of you who haven't viewed it, check out the description in section 6.40, 640, and then the OSS review after that in 641. And then if you want to see an example of how a range of silencers with relatively low back pressure perform, check out 642. Okay? Because that's a members only research supplement, but that can help you. Now, I want you guys to know that you do need to take all of this in context, okay? Think about the weapon you are going to be using. Determine how gas sensitive it will be, okay? If you're going to be running a weapon that's notoriously overgassed or non-adjustable, then you probably want to be careful selecting a silencer in a high omega zone, because you're like, oh man, what's it going to do to this gun? But if the weapon is highly tunable or it's not gas sensitive, which are two completely different things, okay, you may get away with a high omega silencer with not a lot of problems, okay? So on what happened with the SCAR? With the SCAR that I shot, well, the SCAR can be gas sensitive. It can be. You can have different size gas jets, and also it has the particular SCAR I was shooting had an adjustable gas block thingy where I think it had like man, I don't know. I might be butchering this, but I thought the setting was for like just a normal setting or and like an adverse setting, or maybe it was a suppressed setting. I don't know. I'm kind of upset because I forgot the dang setting and what it really was. I need to learn more about it. But basically, my point is, we shot it unsuppressed and we didn't do anything to the gun except put the silencer on it. So regardless of the setting it was on the same setting for both unsuppressed and suppressed, okay? So nothing was done. To feel some gas in my face on a host that is known by many to be sensitive to flow restriction, it was interesting. And to not have a lot of gas in my face from that silencer on that host was interesting. It was kind of like a base level validation of, okay, cool. Like this silencer is actually flowing fast, or rather the mass flow rate out of the end of the silencer is high and maintained enough to where the weapon functioned correctly. And it didn't result in some kind of strange excess combustion products coming out of the breech. And so that's in this case, like, is the silencer's low omega, and the host kind of needs a low omega silencer. Could I have put a very high omega silencer on that exact gun and gotten the same result? I don't think so. Not according to the testing that I saw there. And it wasn't just the SCAR. Tested an AK too, with a very popular AK silencer, and then an OSS silencer, or rather, I think we tested the OSS silencer on the AK, and then the very popular AK silencer on the AK after that. And so that was interesting. So the AK is not tunable at all, or it is actually, but that particular AK was not tunable, and the result was measurable in a way that I've never done. Like, they were not measuring with Omega Metric; they were measuring it with something else. And I saw that and I was like, "Whoa, that's dope! That's cool." So, in summary, like, you need to know, like, if something's highly tunable, I just want to make sure you guys know that you can make concessions for flow restriction. Oh, you know what? Maybe that's... No, I think I can give examples, but I want to say you can make concessions for flow restriction. If you really want a high back pressure, if you want a high omega silencer, because you're going to use it on something that like a bolt gun, and you want to use it on your semi-auto too, don't fret. You can still use it in your semi-auto. You just got to know what you're doing with your semi-auto, dude. Your semi-auto might not have any problem with that silencer. It just, not every semi-auto is going to gas you out. I promise, man. I've seen semi-autos, and I've seen full autos gas people out with a low back pressure silencer like the same NK, but that silencer was overgassed before you even put a silencer on it. So don't worry too much about that. You can fix your guns, most of them. You know what I mean, like ARs. You can dial in your gas. You can add mass to the recoil system. You can delay the unlock in different ways. The AR is tunable. Now, but if your host is gas sensitive, that's a different thing. And, like, for example, let's compare two guns. Compare a 16-inch rifle length gas system AR to a 14.5-inch carbine length gas system AR. Which of those is going to be more forgiving to a silencer with high flow restriction or high omega? Well, the 16-inch rifle gas is going to be more forgiving for a high back pressure silencer. Why is that? Well, it's because it has a lower dwell time. We've talked about that ad nauseum on other episodes. So does that mean the 14.5-inch carbine can't be great? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. What if the gas port is small enough? What if the gas port is small enough on the 14.5-inch carbine length gas system and doesn't let that much gas through for the amount of dwell time, which it has a lot of dwell time, because it has a carbon-linked gas system and the barrel's 14 and a half inches long. So the gas port's going to be active for a while. But what if the port's small enough? Well, then it still might be okay. But no matter what, that gun is inherently more gas sensitive as a system than the 16-inch rifle with rifle length gas. That's just physics. It's going to be more gas sensitive. So because the changes in that gas port are going to affect a lot, man, a lot. So just understand that, and then you might get more blowback out of a host when it's really gas sensitive if the silencer has a high omega. But if the silencer has a high omega and you want to use it on a host, you can change your host if you want. Unless you have some kind of gun that's not changeable, and there are lists of those guns. And you know what? Even on some of the problem child guns, what is it like I guess I've heard the SCAR can actually behave well sometimes, but there are gas jets to adjust and stuff. So I know that it has a really high recoiling mass. So if you don't if you don't adjust your SCAR right, suppressed, you're gonna break it, homie. You gotta break your SCAR. That's not good for you or the SCAR. I hope this helps. I hope that don't get too hung up on back pressure, but understand it, okay? And then you can mitigate blowback. Remember, back pressure is a function of the silencer's flow restriction. Blowback is a function of how a particular weapon may behave when it encounters a silencer with a certain omega parameter. It is a continuum. It is not black and white, but the data is there to guide you, to help you. And if you have questions, tech@pewscience.com. Okay? Hope that helps you folks. All right, we're going to go to topic 3 at a time of 36 minutes and 59 seconds. Man, look at me hitting the... I'm in radio, if I was a radio DJ, which I'm not, but back in the day, they used to do this thing where they were got to hit the post, which is right where the song was going to be before they... Anyway, I've heard that term before. Topic 3. Listener questions. I answer more from round 2 for you now. Okay, I'm going to do this. Let's get into our spreadsheet. Remember, we did leave off on... Oh, my God. All right. I had a guy, and I didn't... And I'm sorry, sir, if you're listening. I didn't respond to your DM. I saw it. I just got busy. And I just now remembered your DM, and I remembered that I forgot to respond to you. He told me, he said, Jay... This is on Instagram. He said, Jay, this is the second time in a row where you've gotten scared of closing your spreadsheet and losing all your information. You should really consider using Office 365 to use autosave and save your data in the cloud to avoid data loss, sir or ma'am. No, just sir, because I'm a sir. He said that to me. I said, man, I thought to myself, I was like, dude, I know. And there's a little button on my Excel right here where I could sign in. But here's the thing. I don't like that because I don't like to pay Microsoft for stuff, okay? They have enough of my money already. Office 365, what a racket, dude. Remember when you could just and I think my Office is... How did I even register this? It is legal. Relax. I didn't pirate this, guys. I mean, that's okay. Allegedly, back in the day, I may have pirated software. Okay, when I was a child. Young innocent, not so innocent Jay. Okay, we're in group 2 of questions, which is frankly a little overwhelming. You guys really came through, and frankly, it's a little intimidating because you're really smart, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope I get these right. I think I will. Question 74, local number 3. So group. In the question group, it's actually the third of the new group. Last time we answered that, and the question was, how many rounds does it take to put through an average silencer until you need a new one? And that was a very good question. And I basically told the gentleman, there are a lot of things to that. Depends on firing schedule. If you want to hear the rest of the answer to that question, you can certainly go to the previous episode and fast forward and figure that out. So we'll just move on to the next question now. So I had highlighted that in yellow. We're going to go to this question, question 4, the 75th question in total. And this question, the next question, and so the next 4, this question and the 3 questions after are for the same dude. He submitted a 4-parter. If I remember correctly, he might be a Pew Science member. I don't put the names in here, but I think he is. And his questions show it. Okay. Question 1 from this gentleman. Local question 4, global question 75. Have you ever had to scrap test data? If so, what happened? Oh. Excellent question, sir. Yes. I actually have had to scrap test data for Pew Science. I've had to scrap entire days worth of test data. Not a pleasant experience, and I don't take it well. I mean, I take it. No, I don't. I never do. I don't think I ever take that. I mean, I take it as well as I can, I guess. It's not something that makes me happy. And some of the reasons you're asking what happened. Like, some of the reasons are really bonehead stuff that I'm really embarrassed about. Like early on, like when I was first doing this stuff and investigating like all the different variables and the different techniques, man, I made a lot of mistakes, dude. Tons of mistakes, and actually mistakes that I didn't even realize I was making until I would get home, like after the long, like all day event. And then like I started looking at stuff and more closely, and I was like, oh my God, what in the actual, like, I was like, oh, and that was like several years ago. That was several years ago, like when I first built PewSoft, and I was like, oh my God, like, what am I doing? And then, that was a long time ago. So like, I'm not going to share, I can't share specifics. Like, I just can't. Like, there's trade secrets that would be, I don't know, I can't go over the farm, but suffice to say, it was frustrating. And, you know, there are actually, there are things that have occurred since then that have resulted in completely useless test series, like an entire test series, useless. Like, I have the data, but it's like, I would never publish it. Now, like circa 2021 and like 2020, like I have a lot of checks in place to avoid that happening. Like it's incredibly expensive. Like, and the technical reasons, man, that there are very technical reasons why test data might not be useful. And I will say, a good test engineer is also able to figure out how to use test data when many other people think the test data might be compromised. Okay, and I've seen it for almost a decade and a half. I have seen what separates a good test engineer from a normal one or a mediocre one. I've seen it. I've seen it in experience. Like, it is not something you learn overnight. It's not. It's very difficult, and it takes experience and it takes time. And understanding what you're measuring, what the limitations are of your equipment, what the limitations are of your resulting analysis of the data. Like, you need to understand, like, what can you actually do with your data? What if something goes wrong in testing? What is it going to affect? And do you actually know? Those questions are serious questions. Okay, you need to understand, like understanding all of the big picture end results when you're in the middle of a test program, that is the key to success. Understanding all the big picture end results. That is how you succeed at a test program. Okay? In order to be a good test engineer, you have to be exercise, you have to be patient. You need discipline. You have to be obsessive. And you have to be practical, and you need to know when to call it. And you need to know when to make decisions. I'm telling you what, I'm serious. Like, these traits, patience, discipline, obsession, and practicality, a mixture of all those. Look, I've operated in this arena for a long time. If you don't have all that, you will fail. I don't care, and I'm serious. And it's going to be the difference between world class and not. And the drop off is big. It's there are, you want to think there's like gray areas and like a scale of like good, but no, it's like world class or bad a lot of times. Like it's because the level of effort is not linear, dude. It is like, if you want to do this, okay, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's not like gonna be a day at the ranch to drink beer and shoot guns, bro. If only. Like not that you should drink alcohol and shoot firearms. That I would never do something like that. Yeah. So, let's say you're testing. I mean, if let's say you don't understand one thing in the chain of events that's occurring and that you're doing in your protocols, that can mean the difference between the test program of the year and the one that falls flat. Okay. And I tell you what, I pulled some rabbits out of hats, dude. Like 0 hour in the thick of it, in the clutch. What are we going to do to fix this? What are we going to do to get a result? These conditions are abysmal. How are we going to do this? What can we control? What can we do? And having that experience to be able to do that and not waste a test day, bro. That's like when you end up doing it and you pull it off, and like your test crew, like you're walking away after it, you're packing up. When it goes well and you're packing up, which takes like sometimes hours to like pack up, and you got a job, and you all like stuck with it, and like you got it done in the face of adversity. You worked as a team, and it was like so frustrating and like took such a long time, but like that you've done your op checks and you looked at the data and you're like, how clean it looks and how awesome it is. And how like tight your setup was, and just like everything was awesome. And you all look at each other. You don't even have to talk. You don't even have to say anything. You just like look at each other and you're like, dude, that was awesome. And you high five. You high five. You go go to Outback Steakhouse on the way home. You get the ribeye and the big beer. They ask you what size you want. You say, I want the big one. And you freaking celebrate, man. That's like, it's awesome. It's like winning a game, or I don't know. It's like a team thing. You're like, yes, dude, paid off. What is up? You know what I mean? But then again, I've also experienced the agony of defeat, where like I've done the drive of shame home, knowing that the like 8 to 16 hours I've spent is all for nothing, other than what I have to tell myself a learning experience. So like, I don't off myself. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't off myself, but I'm saying, like, not to be dramatic. I'm like, talking about melodrama. No, I'm not making light of that. That's not funny, but like, it's kind of funny. Because I say it in jest, because it's like, oh my God, how low do you feel when you mess up and you could have prevented it because like you'd made a bonehead play and you're like, oh, it's like Ace Ventura. Remember Ace Ventura, the first one with Jim Carrey? And he's like, laces out, And they're like, dude, like they were out. And he's like, no, they weren't. It's like, the guy's like freaking out because he thinks he could have fixed it. Well, in this case, like the laces were in, and you're like, bro, like just put the laces out. Some of you who haven't seen that movie are not going to get that analogy, but anyway, like I'm trying to say, I've learned a lot of error. I've learned a lot of error mitigation. Okay, I've learned a lot, and my error rates and my mistakes are getting lower every time. Okay, I'm just getting better. Pew Science is just getting better. Okay, so like you asked, have you ever scrapped test data, and if so, what happened? I know it sucks because I can't tell you the exact thing, obviously, because I can't. I just can't tell you the exact thing, but I can tell you all that. Okay? You guys are like, wow, thanks for the answer. Thanks for the non-answer, Jay. Question 5, global question 76. Sub question 2 from this gentleman. What is your dream hunt? Oh, a non-silencer question. Thank you. I actually enjoy that sometimes. I talk about silencers literally all the time. Just ask my fiance. She's going to kill me. If I don't show up one of these Wednesdays for this podcast, guys, like if I don't show up, like you might know why. No, my dream hunt. I think, oh man, there's a tie. There's two of them. Okay, my first answer is Dall sheep in Alaska. In the mountains, on foot, like fly in by seaplane. Hike, sleep on the side of the mountain, find Dall sheep, get a Dall sheep. It's named after Richard Dall, Dall. Like I would like to do that. At least once in my life, I would like to hunt Dall sheep in Alaska. That would be fantastic. I'm not sure if I need a 300 Win Mag for that. I'm assuming I need to buy a 300 Win Mag and start training. Like I act like I'm going to do it next year. No, but maybe I am. No, I don't know. That would be great. That's one of my dream hunts. That is the hunt. I think that's probably like the one, like that I would like to do before I die, like at least once type of things. Now I will say, a more attainable dream hunt, probably like logistically, or maybe not. I don't know if it could be as challenging, maybe less challenging in its own way, or more challenging in its own way. It would be elk with a bow and not a gun. Probably elk. I've never been elk hunting at all, actually. I really want to. I think it would be amazing. I have eaten elk meat and I really like it. Because I don't know, like I'm a whitetail deer hunter here in South Texas, and so one thing I enjoy about hunting, it's not only the shot, but it's the prep, right? It's the preparation, it's the experience, man. It's everything, and I love the outdoors. I love hunting. I love stalking animals. I like tracking them, hopefully for a short time if I've shot them. Like no one likes to have to track a wounded animal really far. Like that's not a good day. I like blind. I also like blind hunting. I know some people don't. I do enjoy it. Like the act of preparing a hunting area and watching animals and like learning the landscape and kind of, it's fun, man. You create the perfect predator trap. Basically you're using everything you can to take advantage. Man, I mean, white-tailed deer, for example, are perfect prey animals. Their head's on a swivel. Their eyes can detect movement very easily. I mean, their sense of smell is amazing. Oh my gosh, it's so nice. They can hear you coming very easily, and when something's out of place, they know it, man. They do. And when the white-tailed deer, when they sound the alarm to each other with their tails, and you see it, and you just watching the dynamics of the herd as it moves, and they interact, and they meet new deer sometimes, and they say, "Who are you?" And they kind of, all their tails go up, and they look over there and say, who are those guys? Man, I've seen that happen. Oh, it's so cool. Like, oh, where are these deer aren't here all the time. Who are they? And you watch them. I've stayed out for like 2 days straight watching whitetail outside of season, like outside of hunting season. I stayed out watching like 2 days straight watching whitetail to watch their behavior. It's amazing. Like you camouflage yourself and you're quiet and you're watching them. You get so close. I set up a ground blind sometimes. I have white-tailed deer coming right next to me. I could touch them. And just being super quiet, and you're camouflage, and your scent is controlled, and you're like a rock, and you're watching these animals, and it's like one of the most fantastic experiences you could ever have as a human being. And I love it so much. It's amazing. And I hope that people get to experience it. And even if you don't want to shoot an animal and kill it and eat it, which frankly I recommend, if you don't want to do that, dude, have you ever been bird watching? Well, like watching mammals is way more fun because birds are dinosaurs. And if they were big, they'd kill you. They're like cats, right? Like cats, like your house cat. If you have, I don't know if you're a cat person, but if you're I'm not. I mean, cats are fine. I'm more of a dog person. But like, if you have a cat, you know, right? If that cat was the size of you would be dead. Okay? Like, don't pretend that that cat cares anything about you. All it wants to eat your food that you give it. That's all it wants, dude. Like, and if it finds you acceptable, it might like kill some stuff outside and like bring it to you as an offering. Like, that's what cats do, right? Like, if you die, that cat's eating you, bro. If you die in your house and no one knows and your cat's home, bro, that cat's gonna eat you. You know why? It's a carnivore. Okay? They're just like shrunk down versions of death machines. Where was I going with this? Oh, right. Birds. Birds are disasters. Those things are dinosaurs and they're just small. So like they don't kill us. You ever seen a hawk dive bomb someone? It tries to kill you. Probably could if it wanted to. You let it. Imagine birds bigger. Imagine birds bigger, dude. Imagine a bird big. See, that's not cool. Watching birds, you might like it. That's fine. Watching prey animals that we can eat, that's dope. Because it's safe. I mean, it's cool to watch mountain lions too, but like, you know, a mountain lion is going to kill you, but hey, that'd be cool to hunt. Well, I don't know. My point is, if you don't want to kill things, you don't have to. You can totally, and that's like what separates us from, you know, animals, right? As humans, like we are animals, but we're a little more sophisticated. So like enjoying nature and like observing animals for days. You know, if you want to play National Geographic, play National Geographic, dude. You don't have to kill anything. Okay? So, I mean, I recommend it. If you're not into animals, you don't like animals, and you're just like, Jay, why aren't you talking about silencers and shooting people in the face? I'm like, okay, well, relax. I don't know. I love animals and I love killing them and I love eating them, dude. I love everything about animals. So yeah, that's what they're there for, really, at the end of the day. Especially prey animals. They're literally built to die. Or at least they're built to not die right away to make it a little bit harder. Just look at how they're made, dude. Look at their biological features. Global question 77, local question 3, local question 6, listener question 3. So the third question from this gentleman, he's on a roll. What is your favorite portrayal of silencers in movie or TV? That's a good question, man. Favorite? You know, it's hard because like there are very few movies or TV shows that do silencers justice or silencer behavior justice. And in my memory, there might be some that are awesome that are just not in my. I just might be forgetting them. But off the top of my head, like, oh man, I'm open to suggestions. If you guys have any that are cool, please send them to me because I'll totally watch the movies. I'm such a nerd like that. Please show them to me. But I think there are probably some really good ones. One that sticks out in my mind, I would have to say, is from Terminator 2, when Sarah Connor goes and her mission that night is she wants to go kill Miles Dyson at his home. You remember Miles Dyson? She's so okay. So the term, okay. I don't know if you're familiar with Terminator, but in the future, John Connor, the leader of the resistance, the human resistance against the machines, he sends a Terminator, an infiltrator unit, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, back in time to protect his young self, to ensure that he can survive and form the resistance to fight the machines. Okay? His mother, Sarah Connor, who had a run-in with time-traveling crazy people in the previous Terminator, has become quite adept to hand-to-hand combat and small arm weapon system operation. So this lovely lady goes on a mercenary mission because she gets they figure out, through, I'm not going to tell you a whole dang movie. I'm not James Cameron over here. But what I'm trying to say, she takes it upon herself to to go and go to Miles Dyson's house. He's the guy basically responsible for developing the artificial intelligence technology. He's basically the black Elon Musk. Okay? Miles Dyson is like a cross between, he's like the black Elon Musk crossed with Mark Zuckerberg crossed with the CEO of Google, whoever that is now, crossed with someone. And this dude needs to die, like in the movie, right? Sarah Connor's like, nah, dude, I know how to stop this right quick. So she goes to his house at night, and he's like working, he's a workaholic, so he's like straight up like Pew Science right now. Like he in that movie, he reminds me of me. He's like sitting there at the computer at all hours. His wife's like, dude, like, can you come to bed, please? And like his son is like playing with his freaking remote control car in the house. It's all going. This dude is like oblivious to it. He's typing his computer. He's like, oh, I got to figure out how to destroy mankind. No, just kidding. He's like, I got to figure out how to make this cool and like make this brain work. And Sarah Connor goes up in the window, like outside. She's got this M16, right? It's a Colt Commando carbine, I think, is what she has. She's got a Trijicon ACOG on top of this gun. And it's on top of the carry handle, I think. It's on top of the carry handle of the gun. And I don't remember, or I don't know. I don't think I ever knew what silencer is on that gun. But I like that scene. She aims at, she has this Trijicon ACOG. She's going to ice this dude. She's totally going to kill Miles Dyson. And I can't for the life of me remember why she misses. I think it's because the son drives his remote control car over and it hits something and distracts Dyson. So he like moves or something and his head moves, so she misses the shot. It's like basically a movie, right? So it's like, oh, of course she's going to miss because they need the plot and they need him to detonate the bomb. And oh, that's right. Like if you haven't seen Terminator 2, spoiler alert, you might want to fast forward. But basically, Miles Dyson ends up sacrificing himself for the good of like mankind. So, maybe he's not so bad, and maybe he isn't Mark Zuckerberg after all. Maybe he's like a cross between like Elon Musk and like the original people in Google, where their motto was like, don't be evil, right? Maybe he's like that. So maybe Miles Dyson like has less Zuckerberg and more Musk, and like more early Google. I'd say that's a good mix. So anyway, back to the silencer. So this silencer it doesn't sound that real, but it's kind of good. And it sounds pretty good. She shoots the computer screen up. She shoots a bunch of rounds. I'm pretty sure she's doing auto bursts. I can't remember. Yeah. She's pretty sure she uses in select fire. It was awesome. I love that scene. I know it's not really a great silencer scene in the movie per se, but frankly, it's one of the best applications of a centerfire rifle silencer in a film I've ever seen. I mean, she's using it for the purpose. She's going to suppress flash, mask her position, and suppress sound signature relatively well. I think they overdo like what it sounds like. I think it should be louder in the movie probably, but it sounds cool. It sounds like it's such a movie thing, but it's cool. It's probably not real, but I don't know what silencer it is. Anyway, there are probably others, but that's one of them, man. That's the one that stands out in my mind. Okay. You're like, did that guy just basically, spoiler alert, half of Terminator 2 on a podcast? I did. Okay. Global question 78, local question 7. Question the fourth and final question from this gentleman. What do you keep in your blind bag? Oh, excellent question. He means, so for those of you who are not hunters and blind hunters, so in a lot of times in areas where the game animals are very adept to seeing you and detecting you, especially when there's high levels of predation, like in South Texas, and white-tailed deer are very hard to deal with. Hunting from a blind lets you conceal your position, almost like a sniper's nest. how you would do during a time of war in a battle. No. But yeah, a blind is kind of like that. And a lot of times, even if you're not hunting, if you're going to watch animals, you kind of have a little loadout kit. You have a little bag with you because, you're going to be there a while and you don't want to have to move. So that's a good question, sir. And actually, I think you might be the first person to ever ask me that. But maybe besides my fiance, when I met her, and she was my girlfriend at the time, and I was probably like, well, what do you keep in your blind bag? And she's like, well, what do you keep in your blind bag? Because she hunted before she knew me. I was like, oh yeah, you hunt? Say word. I love her so much. No, but in mine, I keep. What do I keep? Let me get a mental checklist. Definitely a knife, binoculars. Hearing protection, always hearing protection. Thermal spotting scope, gloves, rope, batteries for stuff that I have, like flashlight batteries and stuff. Flashlight, a poncho. Keep a poncho to do various things with. You never know when you need that. Like a small Write in the Rain notebook. I don't know if you've ever seen those little notebooks. I like to take notes sometimes when I hunt and when I observe animals. I like to notate the day, the time, what's happening. Something I'm a fan of. A pencil or pen to write in said notebook. Some snacks. I like snacks. Snacks are good. I don't bring a lot, but sometimes I bring snacks. Oftentimes I don't. I like to hunt hungry. But if I'm going to be out all day long, I will bring some bars, like an energy bar, granola bar or something, just to give me some quick energy. If I'm going to be out the entire, like a 12-hour day. If I'm going to be out a 12-hour day, I'm bringing some snacks just in case. A water bottle, matches, lighter, some type of fire starter, just to do it quick and cheap if I need to. Maybe a spare mag for my sidearm if I'm carrying one, or my long gun if I have if I'm using a magazine fed weapon, I might have a spare mag. It really depends on the weapon. And you know what? I put all that stuff in an old Remington day pack. I found at Academy, which is it's a sporting goods store down here in Texas. A long time ago. It's camo. It's a camo backpack. It's like a little backpack. It works. Put stuff in there. I like it. It's been everywhere with me hunting, man. It's rain, snow, mud, dirt, dust, sun, everything. So, yeah, that's what I do, man. Hope that's informative. Okay, let's do about an hour in. We need a few more. I think I can do some more for you. Okay. So thank you, sir, for those four. You asked 4 great questions, and I hope those answers were satisfactory to you. Okay, global question 79, local question 8. Which silencer's performance data surprised you the most? Oh man, good question. Probably OSS. And it's fresh in my. Is that true? I think the CGS Helios QD surprised me a lot. That one did, but I think maybe the OSS surprised me more for different reasons, because I think I actually think everyone was surprised about it. I think some people still don't believe it, frankly, and some people as we speak, and I know this sounds weird, some people are looking for reasons not to believe it. Having shot it, they're like, I don't they don't want to believe it. That's how deep some of this preconceived notion stuff goes. Isn't that crazy? I don't know. I'm fighting that sometimes with people's preconceived notions. They just need to abandon what they think they know and just look at the data, dude. The data's there. Don't. Anyway, because that's part of the reason why I published that members only research supplement that showed the frequency response of the OSS in it, to show what the true sound signature was, what it actually does to your ears, and what it looks like. And so Pew Science members that saw that, and those that you thought it was loud when you heard it, that shows you why you thought it might have been loud, right? But you saw how it was loud and what was actually damaging to your hearing, what's not, right? You saw that? Yeah. It's wild, right? You would have never known that with looking at Peak DB. And so that's something that everyone with the data acquisition system that's testing silencers, if they wanted you to see the full waveforms, they would show you, because Pew Science isn't the only one that can show you the full waveforms. But other people that can show you the full waveforms in the industry, they're well-known people, they won't show them to you. So this is why the OSS silencer was surprising. Why was it surprising? Because I got to see the full waveforms, because no one that's tested it has ever done that. Right? No one ever wants to show you the full waveforms. They never want to. Why? Funny how that works, fam. Why would someone not want you to see the full pressure and impulse waveforms? Why would they hide that from you? Why would a dealer or distributor hide the data? I don't know. I wouldn't. Anyway, I sound like an asshole now. No, man, but like, the OSS surprised me because we got to see the data. You got to see the data. The data's public now. It's there on the website. The sound suppression was surprising because the silencer's loud. You guys know that, right? Silencers in that suppression rating range are loud. We know that. There is no getting around that. But the fact that it works at all, the fact that it suppresses sound at all is wild to me, dude. It is wild to me. It flies in the face of what most companies do when they make silencers. Most companies are just trapping a lot of gas, and many are doing it really, like, amazingly well. But actually, like, robbing heat energy from the flow during a very long path and then keeping it moving, it actually works better than I thought. Are they the first ones to think about this? Absolutely not. Are they the first ones to do it? Absolutely not. Are they one of the only ones that's on the market that's doing it right now? Yes. I think they are. And I thought that's cool. I thought that's interesting. And I think, hey, shout out to them, dude. Props. I know, hey, did I go visit them? Yes. Have they paid me any money? Absolutely not. Don't get it twisted. They didn't even know I was testing their silencers. I didn't get the silencers from them. Just so we're clear. So don't, hey, I got to be careful because a lot of people like to talk mess. Don't talk mess. Put up or shut up. Or other cliches, yada yada. No, but really, like, so that was cool. That surprised me. It's wild. Is the OSS, are the OSS silencers something I would put on my guns? I don't know. I mean, if I had a gun that had to use it, you know what? If I sometime buy an AK, will I put an OSS silencer on it? I don't know. Will I think about it? I might. I don't know. I'll consider it. I gotta test. I need to do some AK testing. Some guy asked me earlier this week or last week if I was gonna test AKs. I told him I want to, but that would require me buying an AK. Yeah. Anyway, I'm looking forward to other people trying to improve the OSS stuff and like doing it better, and then competing with them, and then like looking forward to them making theirs better and then competing with them, and like, I don't know. That's what I'm all about. I'm all about competition, making things awesome. That's like part of the reason for Pew Science, honestly, like to put all the data out there and see how good silencers can get. I just want the best stuff, dude. Like, I'm so selfish in that way. I mean, I want it all for you too, but you think if I didn't like silencers, I would be doing this? Like, relax. That's a good question, sir, ma'am. Thank you for asking that. I hope that provides information to you about what's surprising to me and why. Okay. Global question 80, local question 9. Is the Surefire SOCOM 556 RC2 a relevant dedicated 556 suppressor? So is the 556 RC2 from Surefire a relevant dedicated 556 silencer? Is it relevant? I think it's absolutely relevant. I mean, for one, it's issued to the military right now, right? I'm pretty sure, like, they have that. They're using it to kill people with. So in that sense, it's relevant because it's being used to kill people right now. Like right now. So I'd say it's relevant. as a dedicated 5.56 silencer because of that. Another reason is that I think the design works well in that, like, the mount, like, and bear with me, okay? Bear with me. You're like, what? He's going to say it's good? I think that it's a design that allows operators to use their weapons unsuppressed or suppressed, which is sometimes what they do, I guess. Not all the time, because if you take your silencer off, you change zero, which is a problem. I guess sometimes you don't, but I think you always kind of do. It's relatively small, but it's durable, right? It masks signature reasonably well, I think. I don't know specifically. I haven't tested it yet, this specific silencer. It's not as advanced as some things, but it's also not as primitive as some things. And I think the design and its envelope overall could be improved, probably. But, I don't think we're going to see it go away anytime soon. And so, I'm going to go shoot it for fun in the afternoon this week. I have some things I need to do out in the field this week for other purposes, like during the work week. And so what I might do is I might take my rifle. I might take my machine gun out with me, with this silencer on it. Oh man, I don't want to re-zero my EOTech. Okay, I'm just gonna shoot it then. I'm just gonna shoot it. I'm not gonna shoot it for keeps and like try to hit stuff. I wonder how much my point of impact would shift if I took the Helios off my gun, the Helios TI, and then put this heavier one on there. My barrel's 11.5 inches long. Oh man, and this is like a dedicated 5.56 silencer, so it's like the bore's way tighter. It's definitely gonna. I bet you. I don't know how much the point of impact is going to shift from unsuppressed, but it's gonna. I mean, it's gonna shift. I mean, you're gonna have to re-zero. I don't know, but I think I'm gonna take it out. I'm gonna shoot it because you know what? I haven't shot it yet. It's sitting in my inventory. I haven't even shot it yet. So I got it in a couple weeks ago. I should just do that. I don't want to wait anymore. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to go. I'll take the Surefire there. Take my Helios out with it. I'm not going to sacrifice my hearing for you though, and I'm not going to shoot these things without ears to like try it and see like how loud it is. Or maybe who am I kidding? Yeah, I am. All right, I'll let you know. All right, how are we doing time? An hour. Okay, one more. Okay. Question 81. Local question 10 from this group. Why do some silencers have more first round pop than others? Oh man, this is a very technical question. I'm gonna drink some water. Stand by. Okay. This is an extremely technical question. First round pop is a function of secondary combustion. Early time combustion, even after precursor flow, like after the muzzle uncorking, is a highly complex phenomenon. Okay, I realize I just said some very complicated things. You might not know what they mean. Let me back up. Okay, when you shoot a gun, okay, there's air in the barrel, right? The air in the barrel is like sitting there. It's there. It doesn't matter if there's a silencer on it or not. There's air inside the barrel. When you forget about the silencer for a second, just shooting the gun unsuppressed. When you shoot a gun, that bullet starts to move, right? Why is the bullet moving? It's being pushed by expanding combustion gases. It starts moving very quickly. The air in front of the bullet inside the barrel has to go somewhere. It doesn't just the bullet just doesn't go through that air and then fly out. It pushes the air out. Okay? And depending on the projectile speed, the barrel length, the projectile size, like that air column is going to do different stuff. Okay? And when you go faster than the speed of sound, it gets even more complicated. Now, if you remember from the silencer sound standard, the subsonic waveforms of the 22 silencer, the 22 rifle, unsuppressed. Remember how when we measure with PewSoft, because we're measuring fast enough, and I give you the whole waveforms, you could see that there was a hump first in like, this might have been like section 2 of the silencer sound standard. I can't remember. It's like early on when I'm describing like what gunshots look like unsuppressed. You saw that first you see this little hump. Well, that's because like the air can't get out of the way, so it piled up. That's like a really rudimentary way of saying we pushed air out of the barrel and we formed a pressure wave from it. That is literally like in weapon design, if you want to be like a technical weapon guy, that's called precursor flow in internal ballistics. Okay? That's precursor flow that you see there. And after you get uncorking, after the bullet leaves, you get muzzle blast come out. And you see that later in time. But when it's supersonic, stuff's happening so quickly, stuff's nested on top of each other, and you really don't see it delineated in the waveforms measured 1 meter left of the muzzle. And so that's why you don't see that. Okay, there are ways to see it actually, but it's not. That you use a different type of measurement technique, not this type. And so that's very complex. The way that so you can imagine there's a lot of stuff coming out of the barrel, and when it comes out, it's very complex. And some silencers are able to manage the combustion propagation of the secondary events and the tertiary events that are coming out in a more efficient way. And that has to do with the way the blast chamber is shaped and the way it's actually the actual geometry of the blast chamber, the size of the blast chamber, and the baffle configurations next to the blast chamber. And when on a very long silencer with many baffles, you'll find that it is easier to mitigate the first round pop. You remember, first round pop happens. You have air. You have existing air in the silencer, just like you had existing air in the barrel. Remember, if you have existing air in the silencer, the air is going to interact with all that muzzle blast that's coming out. It's going to support extra combustion out there of other products that are being thrown in there too. And so you have to suppress that. You have to take the temperature down. You have to lower the mass flow rate in this more violent scenario with extra oxygen and extra air in that silencer at first. So if your silencer is filled with extra air, how is your design going to deal with it? I mean, the blast chamber has a lot to do with it, guys. But then the length of the silencer does too, once stuff gets burning. So how much can you trap, and what kind of tricks can you use? Now, what's interesting, the louder the cartridge, the less noticeable the FRP differential is going to be. But that's it just depends. It's noticeable in Supersonic 308, but it should be no surprise given the data you've seen, right? But if your silencer is really loud too, then it's going to be hard to get first round pop because it's all loud. It's going to be hard to hear it, but it still exists. Now, in the subsonic realm, first round pop can be really loud, really, really loud, especially when there's unburnt particles. And so, and that's it's gonna further support secondary combustion inside the silencer. Man, short barrel lengths with first round pop. Why is that? Why do you think the first round pop's so bad on a short barrel? Why would that be? You're not burning all your powder. It's going to contribute more. It's going to be bad. Higher pressure too. It's actually something I'm currently studying. I am studying this. I want to give you a more comprehensive answer, but also it's like, but I don't know. In order to do that, I do need to educate myself more on some of this. This is, I don't know. A lot of people talk about first round pop, but truly understanding the most efficient way to mitigate it, man, that's something that a lot of people talk about. There's a few reasons for that, man. I tell you what, it actually is getting into some design and trade secret stuff. It's also getting into stuff that, like, yeah, I don't know if some of the stuff I know, I'm not sure I can talk about, but I think I've given enough information. It's pretty specific, actually, about what to do. But as we progress through this effort, I mean, there might be a limit as to what we talk about on the podcast with regard to some of this, but look, you can't talk about everything you do, but suffice to say, the original question is, why do some silencers have more first round pop than others? It's because they're not managing the atmosphere in the silencer well enough, especially in the front part of the silencer. They're not managing it right. And they're not managing what's coming out of the silencer. I'm sorry, what's coming out of the barrel. And they don't know that they're not managing all the events right, I think. And I think there's different ways to manage the events. And I think there's trade-offs. And sometimes your first round pop is going to be loud. And another thing your silencer does is good. The really awesome silencers is the ones that like barely have any first round pop. And like I just remember like the Thunder Beast Ultra 9, how great that was. And then remember like the CGS Hyperion, how great that was. Remember the Rugged Surge is really good in its long configuration on 308. It's really good. Those are some examples of some quiet silencers that have great first round pop. The OSS silencer had great first round pop because everything was loud and it flowed a lot. That's different, right? So anyway, I hope that answers your question, sir. Or man. I was going to say or man, but I think I know who asked that question. Actually, the person who asked that question is, I don't know. He might be wanting to like design something. So I know who you are, dude. What, you trying to get free consulting right now? I'm just kidding, man. You're awesome. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap up that. That's a long time. We're almost an hour and a half in. Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to highlight that question in our handy dandy spreadsheet here. I'm going to highlight that. Boom. Highlight that yellow. We're leaving off on question 10 of that group. I'm going to save it. I'm going to close it. Great question, sir. Thank you so much for asking that question. Okay. All right. Let's move into topic 4 at a time of 1 hour, 27 minutes, and 24 seconds. Thank you to all the dealers, the manufacturers, and the consumer members of Pew Science. Thank you so much. Your support makes this happen, and it means a lot. And the dealer feedback recently has been really great. A lot of great dealer feedback. The outpouring of support from the community is amazing. A lot of folks have been sharing their experiences with me, frankly, which has been really, really great regarding data publication and how it's helping them. And folks are, one thing, and it kind of made me happy. They said, man, I'm happy there's a place to get data that is open and honest. And they said that. I was like, dang, dude, that kind of made me like a little bit, to kind of make my face turn red. I'm like, man, thanks, dude. That's cool. And because it only works if it's helpful. If it's not helpful, it's not going to help anybody. And it's like, it's not, why do it, right? The amount of dealers that have been using Pew Science data to better inform their customers is amazing. That's cool. And, the best is when I get messages from dealers about how glad they are, like that they're able to justify their recommendations now. Like before, like they would just go off what they knew to be true. Because like they'd shoot a gun and they'd be like, man, this silencer's pretty good. And this silencer's pretty good. And they're like, well, and this silencer's not that good for this. Or this silencer's better for that. And that's great. When you have a good dealer that can do that, that's awesome. Like when they have a good experience, that is so great. Like that's really cool. Now they can definitely still do that. And they can give their firsthand experiences. But also they can also tell them that what they hear with their own ears is supported by Pew Science. And so if the customer is like not, that like doesn't believe them and thinks that, that you're just trying to sell me a silencer, which could be true. I mean, they are selling silencers. But I mean, that's not necessarily bad. They could be like, no, dude, like for real, like this sounds cool. Like you want to go shoot it? Maybe they go shoot it, which is the best. Always do that. But what if you can't? Or what if you're ordering something that, the guy's shot, but he doesn't have in the store? And so now they can say, dude, not only does this sound good to me, like here's the Pew Science data that shows that it sounds pretty good too. And they'd be like, oh, cool. Now I can see. You know what I mean? That is so cool. They told me they did that. I was like, oh my God. Like I didn't even think about that. Like I didn't even think about a silencer dealer using the data like that. I thought the silencer dealers would be looking at it to decide maybe what silencers they would want to look at to sell to people, which I guess is another way people are using it. I don't know. I don't sell silencers. So I'm like, how are people doing this? Like, I don't know how gun shops are selling things, but the fact that they're using the data to back up and support their own conclusions, that's awesome, dude. That is so cool. And so that made me smile. Yeah. So thank you. Thank you for giving me that feedback. That I love it. And you know what? If there are any dealers that have issues with Pew Science data, and you've been shooting silencers and you're like, we don't want to say anything because I don't know, for whatever reason, just email me, dude. Call me. Literally, it's so easy to get a hold of me. There's so many ways to get a hold of me. And not saying anything to me is really weird because there's no reason. So if you do feel strongly enough and you have honest feedback and honest experience to share and you're scared to talk to me, don't be scared, bro. I'm literally we all want the same thing. We all want good data to consumers. We all want people to succeed in getting the coolest silencer for their application. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? Okay. All right. Well, I hope that is a good episode for you folks. I know I kind of went a little all over the place there, but I had fun and I like answering your questions. I'm gonna go shoot that Surefire SOCOM. What is it? SOCOM. How do they say the model designation? SOCOM 556 RC2. Yeah, that's what it's called. I'm gonna go shoot it this week. I'm gonna try to shoot it maybe Thursday or something and tell you what it does to my gun. What if I just don't adjust the gas and just shoot it? What happens? I bet my brass is gonna inject into the stratosphere, won't it? Because it's a 556 bore. And the CGS Helios has a big bore. But my 11.5-inch mid, what will it do to it? What will it do to the 11.5-inch mid with a Surefire OBC? I'm going to post a picture of it. I'm going to put it on tonight, and not adjust the gas. I'm just going to put it on there and take a picture. And then I'm going to shoot it this week. Okay. With that, I will let you go. Stay safe out there. I will talk to you folks again soon.